Mrs. Kohanov's grammar lesson, take 2.
Hi guys. Okay, this week we're going to be doing things related to the clauses that we did last week, and we're going to be looking at complex sentences. Complex sentences, it's a very good idea to use complex sentences. So get used to the way that they sound and that they feel, because it makes your writing more mature. It's one of those things we talked about. It's kind of difference between the men and the boys kind of thing, is it makes your writing sound more mature. A complex sentence, and we're on page 114 right now, so if you don't have your grammar book open to page 114, you should do that right now. On page 114 at the top in the box, it has the skill reminder page, and it has 3 bullets for us to think about this week. The first one says a complex sentence contains an independent clause and at least one dependent clause. So that's basically what we worked on last week. A complex sentence also has a dependent clause that begins a sentence. It's usually followed by a comma. So if your dependent clause comes first, you're going to want a comma before you put in your independent clause. And we'll take a look at an example of that. And number 2, or excuse me, the third bullet, is a dependent clause that comes at the end of a sentence is not preceded by a comma. So the comma is only needed if the dependent clause comes first. All right, let's take a look at numbers 1 and 6 as examples today. So for number 1, they asked you to, I'm trying to check and see what I wanted to do here. Thank you. Okay, so for numbers 1 through 5, they asked you to write the sentence, identify if it's simple or complex. If it's complex, draw 1 line under the independent clause and 2 lines under the dependent clause, and circle the connecting word. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now as an example for number 1. So number 1, here we go. You do not have to do number 1 because I'm doing it with you. When Dusty reaches the first road, oh, there's a comma. So that must mean that the dependent clause comes first. The team roars over the pavement. Boy, they give us long sentences, don't they? So the first part is the dependent clause. It cannot be a sentence by itself. We've got 2 ways to know that. The first is it's got a comma, which means the dependent clause came first. The second is, think about it. If someone said to you, when Dusty reaches the first road, would you think they were done talking, or were you thinking that they forgot to tell you something? Because this is not a complete thought. The team roars over the pavement. That could be a sentence all by itself, but the dependent clause gives us, the dependent clause gives us a little bit of extra information. So on your slates, you're going to do numbers 2 through 5, and you're going to do it just like I did. And then they wanted you also to circle the connecting word. And the connecting word, it's not in the middle of them, like it was with compound sentences. Sometimes it's in the middle, but sometimes it's the first word. And the connecting word for number 1 is when. Okay? So, taking a look at the next section, numbers 6 through 9, they wanted you to revise the sentence and reverse the order of the clauses. So let's take a look at that example. So if we did number 6 and we reverse the order, the dogs run into 2 snowmobiles when the sled goes around a blind corner. So if we reverse that, we're going to say when the sled goes around a blind corner, and again, that is the dependent clause, so we're going to have a comma. The dogs run into 2 snowmobiles. cheated again with the 2. All right. You can go ahead and pause the video here. While you do that, I'm going to erase the board and then we'll come back and show you the answers to this page. Open the latch.
Pull the lever, Crunk.
Alrighty, so here we are with the first section, numbers 2 through 5. Go ahead and pause the video so you can correct numbers 2 through 5. And then numbers 7 through 9. Go ahead and pause the video so you can check and see how you did there. If you got all of the work right today, give yourself an A. Ooh, let me close that. Can you shut that light off for a second and turn the other light on? Thanks. If you got all of the words right, all of your work right today, you give yourself an A. -1 is going to be an A minus. -2 is going to be a B. -3 is a C. -4 is a D. And -5, we don't want to talk about that. All right. All right. There's the grading scale. Go ahead and write it on your sheet for today. I hope you had a great time with grammar, and I'll see you next week.